Yay. Well, welcome to the Cosmic Compass conversation. It'll be a shorter one today, but I'm very happy to have you here. And like I said before we started the recording, if you found your way here after that many emails that were super confusing, you get extra gold stars for the day. So congratulations for following the breadcrumbs and actually making your way here. So my apologies to anyone who couldn't find the correct link because there were so many emails, but I think maybe I've got it worked out. And it was a rough couple days. Okay. Now I'm just going to give you just a very small smidgen of astrology because I want to kind of save some for the cosmic cauldron on Friday. But I think it's really important as we move through this week for everyone to just remember when Pluto moved into Aquarius, it's creating this new era, right? And Pluto really is about letting go, and it's also about transformation and rebirth. So there is a beautiful energy here. Now, as I might have said a number of times, Pluto's there acting as a gateway. Mercury has already passed through Pluto, and now Mars is about to move through with Pluto into Aquarius. For some people, this is a lot of intensity. Okay. Now I say for some people, why is that? Because some people are used to Pluto energy, some people are used to Mars energy. They are considered brothers, if you want to look at the astrological mythology. Their energies are both very intense. And so as we move through the week, ask yourself, where are you feeling the intensity? How might you work with that intensity? Because it's creative energy, it's life force energy, it's it is it is power. And I think for those of you that have done the Embody the Year course, you know that power is one of our key words for the year. And so what is my relationship with power? What is power? How am I responding to even the word power? This is one of those weeks where everything just kind of comes to a focal point. So I think the best thing we can do is pull some cards on that and see what the cards have to say. So first things first, the Spirit of the Animals Oracle. This is one we haven't used in a while. Let me see if I can get it to, there we go. This one I'm going to pull from today for an anchor card. Very beautiful. And I don't know, I never double, I don't double question. I don't question. If the cards say they want to come, they want to come. So I also want to say happy Lunar New Year, Year of the Dragon, which is also very powerful. And in the 2 weeks between the new moon and the full moon, we're really honoring that bringing in of the dragon energy, which again is about power, right? Among other things. But the wood dragon is a bit tempered, which doesn't diminish the power. It just becomes a little more grounded. So us little wood dragons out here are happily enjoying, hopefully, the dragon year so far. It's only been a couple of days, but I hope you're enjoying it. I'm looking right at you. It's been a lot of energy. And again, we have Mars and Pluto amping it up for more energy. So I guess from a very practical, again, just very practical, many of you have really been engaging in some somatic work, breathing, movement. Those of you that have worked with me in sensuous wisdom, you know the somatic pieces of the womb space and the root. And we need to use our tools. This is the thing. This is why we learn all of this, is so that when we're working with this energy, we're grounding, we're bringing it into the body. And for anyone who is, potentially struggling with any anxiety or uncertainty in their bodies, just reach out. I have a lot of people that I would refer you to. I'm going to have a guest next Monday who we're going to talk a little bit about some of the modalities that she uses. And again, just as a reminder, you've got this. We can do this. This is why you signed up for all those classes and courses and practices and learning and deepening. This is why we do this. Okay. So first card to help us through the week. Oh, it's the elephant, which says greatness. I'm just going to see if I can read backwards. Love is your strength. Leadership is your path. This is too hard, so I'm just going to try. But I did well. The first one, I think I did really well. Love is your strength. Leadership is your path. Your wisdom inspires everyone you meet. You can overcome any problem. You will naturally and easily achieve success. Okay, so that's our first card. So I guess as an anchor card, that's not a bad thing. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I want to welcome our new people who probably had to sort through 5 emails to find their link. So thank you again for understanding and for your graciousness. And yes, our first card, we just did a little bit of astrology. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't do our breathing yet. Why don't we breathe with the elephant? We'll just kind of do this out of order, but let's do a little breathing with the elephant and just remembering love is your strength, leadership is your path. Okay. And you can change that if you want to, but that feels really good. So since we now have, I think, everyone who's been able to sort through their emails, I'm going to just take a moment, come back to center. This is really for me, you realize. Come back to center, feel where you are in the room, and take a moment. Just breathe into your belly. When you're ready, exhale through your mouth. Breathing into your belly. And exhaling through your mouth. And maybe feeling those shoulders dropping. And again, everything's always an invitation. Do what is comfortable, breathing into the belly. And exhaling through the mouth. And one more deep inhale. And exhale. And we're just bringing in the energy. Love is your strength. Leadership is your path. I love that. The elephant. So welcome back. And thanks for that. See, it might be a little wild out there, but we're still using our tools. We're in it. Okay. So the next card that's going to come is from the Mother Piece. So I think we're going to do 5 cards today. And again, this is to help us through this really intense energy time this week. Okay, so this is a fun card. This is the Fool card. And the Fool is willing to take some risks, willing to go on that adventure. I mean, the week is kind of an adventure all by itself, so it's not like you have to go anywhere. And you can look and see, we've got this beautiful images. The Mother Peace cards are very, they have their own unique look to them. They contain a lot of symbols. And this is the Mother Peace by Vicki Noble. And for those of you that really want to study more about tarot, the Mother Peace deck is a good deck to have. It is a very deep, particularly feminist deck, really looking at the goddess energy. There's a lot of anthropology and sociology embedded in the book. So I love, I love that. It's my favorite deck. Okay. Last week's cards were pretty amazing. I'm going to be shuffling everything back into the deck. We don't necessarily need a repeat, but you never know. So now I'm going to use the Light Seers Tarot. And again, the most important thing when we do this, I mean, the elephant card kind of gave us a message, right? But when we look at these cards, when I pull them, just ask yourself, like, what am I noticing? What's important here? I mean, I have there, and what do I feel? Like what feelings are surfacing when I look at this card? What questions are surfacing? I mean, like I said, this one is just chock full of symbols too. I mean, you see a peacock feather. Yeah, I mean, there's just the crocodile or the alligator, the lotus, obviously, the eagle, the cat, or is that a tiger? I don't know. Again, do listen to your intuition first. I'll put an explanation in the email, but really it's your interpretation that really matters for you for this week. So, okay. Light Seers by Chris Ann. First card that wants to come through is the Page of Pentacles. And we've had this card before, but not for a while. I just love that. Just a little detail there. So as you look at this card, what do you feel? What do you notice? What is surfacing? And again, what's really awesome is just to really, maybe you see something different this time than you may have seen before. Maybe you respond to it differently. If you know the tarot, you might, have an inclination of something you may or may not agree with. But if you already know what the card has, its traditional meaning, that's okay. But again, you can utilize the artwork as a way. Wow, I just noticed something I never noticed before. You can use the artwork as a way to deepen into the message. This particular deck, and not all decks are like that, just so you know. One of the reasons why I use Chris Ann's deck is because I do think her artwork is particularly connected to the meaning of the card. Okay, the next card. Oh, again, I noticed something new today. It's so interesting. All right, so here we go. This will look familiar to a couple of you when I finally pull it out. This is the last card of the deck. It is the King of Pentacles. Yeah. So that'll look very familiar to some of you because I know this card, maybe not this particular card, but this card in other decks is showing up for people of late. So what do you notice? And I'm going to share a little something with you around this card. For a long time, this card reminded me of a person, like a real person in my life. And it still does. I mean, I can look at this card and absolutely 100% see that person in this card. And I have to admit, it made me feel a little uncomfortable. I wasn't entirely excited about being reminded of that person every time I pulled the card. But I noticed today when I pulled the card just now that I noticed some different energy. And that feels great. Like as something's moved and shifted in me, the past, is moving away. It's very Pluto for me to just say, oh, you know what? This card has got different energy for me now. So again, we're in a time where we're letting go of the old. We're letting go of things that are, we don't need to take with us into the future, right? So I just have to bring this into focus if I can. I want you to just really, if it works, which I don't know if it's going to, look at those eyes on that wolf, right? And then the sparklies, smile. It's just, what do you feel? That's really the key with this card. Anyway, just thought I'd share a little personal because it has been an interesting card for me over the years, and I'm just excited I had a new response today. So fun to share that with you. Okay. And maybe it's because the sun's out and I can see better. I don't know. Sure. All right. Well, we got this one card from last week, but the moon card must still want to be with us. That new moon did have a level of intensity to it for sure. And we have the wolves showing up again. Now, last year I was always looking at the wolf because it was on my vision board. This year I have a giraffe, not a wolf. So I don't have the wolves anymore in front of me all day, but I am being reminded of the wolves here. And the moon, if you know the traditional meaning, um, fantastic. And then also, why don't you just give yourself an opportunity to deepen in, ask yourself what you see, what you feel. And I know that so many times we want to kind of have an understanding right away of the cards. I think the thing about the moon card is it's asking us to go deep and reflect. It's asking us to be a little bit, go a little bit beneath the surface, right? I mean, she's definitely beneath the surface, and see what you see from that perspective. She doesn't look unhappy. I mean, I think she's a mermaid. Well, okay, I say that. You know what? It's not a for sure thing that she's a mermaid, I realize, but in my mind, she's a mermaid. So maybe, but she doesn't have to be, right? So again, the moon card, and I'll just share a little bit because I think it is important to kind of gauge this. The moon card is very much about the emotional realms. It is very much about the relationship we have, obviously, with the rhythms and the cycles. But there's also an element of how am I choosing, the wolves? How am I choosing? What is my perspective? So I'm just going to give you a little bit today because I think since it showed up last week and this week, I'll share with you what Chris Ann says about this. And this is very interesting because I was just having a conversation earlier this morning about Neptune, which is not the moon, but often there's a relationship between the moon and Neptune. In this case, the moon card, as Chris Ann sees it, really talks about illusions, hidden truth, the unknown, trusting your intuition, facing your fears, the unconscious mind, the mystery, symbolism, metaphor, perception, uncertainty, dreams. The shadow side, and this is what I love about her cards, is just she really looks at the shadow side. Things that are blocking us, like fears that are blocking us, what's holding us back. Sometimes we don't have the ability to process a really powerful mystical experience. Anxiety, that's another shadow of the moon. And I think with the way I see the planets right now, there is a potential for some of this. So she has, in her book, she really talks about how to utilize the energy of this card. And so I do want to share that with you. Listening, um, deepening into your knowing of your inner wisdom, reinvigorating your creativity. If it's been maybe, and again, creativity is like anything. We're all creative. Some of us have incredible talent in the art world, but all of us are creative. And so whether it's going for a walk in nature, meditating, it could be anything that reinstates that creative spark, if you will. So I'm going to read to you her affirmation for the moon card. I like it, and I think it'll be a good way for us to end for today as we move into the week. I am safe, and I reach new levels of unconscious knowing as I surrender to the will of the universe. I am safe, and I reach new levels of unconscious knowing as I surrender to the will of the universe. So as we look at the week ahead, we know that there's some intensity out there. We know that there's energy, creative life force energy that wants to be utilized this week. Creating your levels of safety. What does that look like for you? Again, this is where the tools really come in handy. We have a lot of magic and power within us, and we do have ways of creating a very centered, very safe container for all of this energy to move through us. And so I'm really excited actually to hear, as the week goes on, if you want to send me a note, or you can post comments. I'll put this one on YouTube, so you can post comments if you want. Yeah, like how is this week going? I guess overall, as we move toward the end of the week, remember, we are being gifted with what we need. And sometimes we need to reach out to a friend. The Aquarian energy is very much about, yes, it's about being individual, but it's also very much about your friendships, right? So reach out to people, find the people that are like-hearted or like-minded. Do a Zoom tea date or go out for coffee. Do something where you're reaching out into your community that is a supportive community, just to say hello. Doesn't have to be a therapy appointment, but you might need one of those too. It's okay. I'm sure I'll get one scheduled around all this technology. Sometimes it triggers other things. It's fine. We're good. We have everything we need. And when we're feeling overwhelmed, I always have to remind myself, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, what can I do to take a step back? What can I do to take that pause so I shift the energy or shift the pattern? So those are some thoughts for today. The reading again, I'll hold everything up. We have this elephant as our support all week long. That's exciting, right? We have this beautiful elephant. Love is your strength. Leadership is your path. Your wisdom inspires everyone you meet. You can overcome any problem. You will naturally and easily achieve success. This is really good. I'm really happy they wanted to come out as anchor cards. And then the next one is the Fool, Page of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, and the Moon. So the Pentacle cards are very earthy, very much the material world. This one is watery and emotional, and this one kind of has all the elements, actually, to be honest. So it's a good Aquarian card, though. All right, so that's for today. You all are the best. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to turn off the recording.